to the children, to the young people, to the elders, to make this a better world. And if we have a way, of uplifting our community, and it happens to be through voting, then why do we dismiss it? We should not be dismissing it. And if we are dismissing it, then we better go explain to our people why we chose not to use that tool that we have in the toolbox. Because any doctor, any surgeon who has an opportunity to save a life, has the medicine or the tools to save a life, chooses not to use that tool, then that doctor is guilty of negligence, because they had the chance, the ability, the knowledge that they could save a life, but they chose not to. And so any of us out there saying, don't talk about politics, don't talk about economics, then they better explain to the community why not. Because at this point, we're going to do ourselves harm. And like I mentioned again, we got our own Fred Hamptons and our own, Malcolm X's, Milano Zapata, he represented his people in the village as a representative. Democracy, and let me make this clear, it's not a Greek thing only. The concept of democracy has gone back thousands of years, even within our own indigenous cultures. And so when we dismiss democracy or these kind of ideas as white only, then we're only doing damage to ourselves, because they're not white only. Those are human ideas. Unfortunately, though, we've been taught not to do that.
You got any favorite books you've read, bro? That you can recommend?
Lately, Aslan, the Insurgents by Todd Mireles. He's a professor out of Arizona. It's called Aslan. If you look up that book,
I know him.
That's a good book. That's one I read lately. But the truth is, a lot of them, the books I've read years going back, they're old books, including Occupied America by Rudy Acuña, or the Chicano, and I forget who it is, Chicano movement. There's several books out there, old school books, that have taught us the certain lessons. But nowadays we don't even find books. It's all about connections we make, like you and I having a discussion on a podcast. Nowadays it's podcasts, and unfortunately you're one of the only few podcasts we can actually look towards to get some guidance, to be honest, if you want to be real about it.
Hey man, I appreciate that. Hey, since you were talking about earlier a little bit about the way that we see politics, because we're about to wrap this up, I'm gonna try to keep it right around an hour, but just recently, we got Trump out of office. I mean, I think it's probably safe to say that 70-80% of us are anti-Trump. There might be a few people out there that are Mexicanos or Chicanos or whatever that are Trumpsters, but that ain't us, right? But I mean, with him out of office, I know earlier the way that the conversation is going and stuff like that, are things, do you think, really going to change for the Chicano, the Mexican American, or things really going to change for the the people like us that are happy now that yay, he's gone? Are things really going to change? Is Biden really going to do something for the Chicano, for the Mexicano, for the Mexican American, for the person that may have ties or may have the same kind of the same kind of problems that we have?
Well, it's a good question. I'll be honest with you. I don't think things are going to get better under Biden. Matter of fact, things are never going to get better. Matter of fact, I think they're going to get worse under Biden in this respect. Biden, just like Obama, just like, Bill Clinton, a lot of people applaud them because, they're not Trumps or they're not George W. Bushes and, war criminals, they say. But they are, in fact, war criminals. They are, in fact, rich men and rich white men, most of them, who got rich and got up there at the expense of us. And Biden has always wanted to be in that position. So I don't take him serious that he truly does care about the people. I think he cared more about achieving the presidency and that being his legacy than he does about the people. Because as we speak, liberal politicians, white politicians, and other politicians up there, Congress, they were having a fight over whether we should give, $2,000 or money to people who are quote unquote illegally here, even though they had children born in the United States. And so I'm looking at that thinking, oh, now you called Trump a racist, which he was. You called Trump this and that, but yeah, now you're distinguishing between children whose parents are not quote unquote legally here, and those that are. Now you want to make that argument. So here's my point. Things are not going to get better until we make it better. Biden is not our savior. As a matter of fact, if you start thinking that, you're falling asleep already. Just like what happened with Obama. We fell asleep when Obama got elected. We fell asleep, and he lulled us into this mentality of, oh, it's gonna be okay. Things are getting better. But in actuality,
this is going back. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm just saying, this is probably going back to that we're not organized thing, right? We don't believe we can do it. Like we're not Mexicans right now. We're Mexicans. We got to be a donkey. We got to be an elephant, and whatever crumbs they throw us, we got to be okay with that. We don't want to run our own companies. We don't want to run our own industries. We're okay with getting a paycheck because this is what the American dream is about. There's something wrong with that, man. Yeah. We're not organized, and that's why I was saying earlier, when you said, it's one of the biggest, I said, is it not the biggest? Because in my opinion, man,
well,
and in my very strong opinion,
no, I would agree with you. We're not organized, and if you look at it with respect to values, we need to organize. Well, what do we value? That's why I said, what are our values? If we value family, if we value community, if we value health of people and education, then yes, we have to organize around those values and not around a political party and not around one person. We have to organize around these values. So if you want to put it in that respect, yeah, definitely organization is our number one issue that we have to get over, because we can't even get past the issue of identity, much less political party.
You're right. Or getting mixed up on the little stuff like, I don't agree with that. Like, we got to be able to disagree to agree and agree to disagree, just to be, have some equity in this thing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If we're ever gonna get anywhere, right? I mean, it's gonna be better me and you walking in together, as opposed to like, man, I don't like that guy because he thinks he's better than me. You know what I mean? If we're all doing that, then we're all just, and I think that's part of the problem we have right now.
It's high school stuff, man. It's teenage stuff that many of us are too old to be wasting our time on things that personality differences, or he said, she said, or Facebook fights. We spend more time fighting on threads on Facebook than we do with anybody else that's keeping us down. If we used enough energy, the same energy that we spend on Facebook or any other social media platform attacking each other, we've already solved our problems. So yeah, organizing, man. I'm gonna give it to you. Let's organize.
Well, man, that's a good end to the episode, man. You're actually the first person I've ever had on as a guest, man, and I'm not cutting, I'm not editing any part of this. I really enjoyed doing this with you, man. I want to bring you back. Actually, I want to get better at doing this, because it actually was a lot of fun. Maybe you just had a good energy that just made it resonate with me, and hopefully it resonates with the audience, man. But I do want to say, man, I really appreciate you having the time to take out of your day to day and do this on such short notice. I know yesterday when I asked you, you had to squeeze it in because we're on two different time zones. Right on. But man, yeah, I really appreciate it, man. I just want to say that, and I don't know, man. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and just wrap this one up, and man, hopefully, we'll get you get you in on the thing again. All right.
All right, Steve. Appreciate it.